So, what scares you the most about AI?
Yeah, what scares me the most is not so much the Hollywood version of AI risk or what people have referred to as the paper clip scenario, where it's like,
Mhm.
imagine the super intelligent AI and give it the goal of make as many paper clips as possible. Of course, that sounds harmless, but then it becomes extremely capable and only focuses on maximizing paper clips and then starts doing destructive things. So that people talk about, and I feel like that's kind of a caricature. And in some ways, I think one of the things that has happened is that some of those kind of existential risk questions or the Skynet have distracted from I think more, in some ways, more mundane and immediate and institutional risk. So my area of focus is in national security and military domains. And so, to give an example there, one of the things I've been looking at is that AI is being incorporated and deployed far more quickly than most other technologies have been deployed in the military until now. And so I was in the acquisitions business in the Air Force, and things always took a long time, and people would be frustrated by that. But you come to realize that there's kind of a reason for that process, which is that the consequences of deploying technologies too soon before you know what the effects are is it has its perils. And so I think that that is one of the things that worries me with deploying AI too quickly. So I see, and I've been writing about this in two different contexts. So one is the risk of kind of incoherence on the battlefield. So different parts of the military may use AI in different ways at different speeds, different assumptions. One unit might use it for planning, another for intelligence, another for logistics, one for targeting. And if those systems don't align, AI could create confusion instead of clarity. And so it could make these operations faster, but not actually better. And one of the things that we're looking at as well is the way that different people, just as I think we see in day-to-day life, people are using AI in totally different ways. Well, imagine that in a battlefield setting. So someone with a lot of experience gets the AI output and they say, well, I don't believe this, I'm going to override it. Or someone who's the much more junior person is like, well, I grew up with this technology. It must be right. And I don't know that those assumptions about how people use the AI are correct. What worries me a little bit is just that we don't know. And so these systems are getting deployed without actually having the data to know how people interact with the systems. And I think sort of a corollary to that is that, and I've seen this in different contexts before with technology, with drones and precision weapons, that they created the impression that war is more antiseptic, more precise, less politically costly. And I think that AI could deepen that illusion by making targeting or surveillance or analysis look more objective than it actually is. So I think there's a lot of the discourses around like AI is becoming too powerful. But I think that's not untrue. It's that I think it sidesteps the bigger risk that the human institutions that are using AI might overtrust it or misunderstand it or let it accelerate decisions that might remain or should be remain politically and morally difficult. So we don't want to oversimplify things that actually we should ruminate and take seriously. So yeah, I mean, long answer to the question, but to say that I do worry that these kind of existential risk questions have obscured kind of a more immediate risk about how this is getting deployed in these national security settings.
Yeah, that's a great point. I really appreciate your emphasis on how just because AI is applied to something doesn't make it better. I think far too many people think it's the magic wand of accuracy and efficiency.
Right, right, right. Yeah, and I think we're seeing that in our day-to-day lives too, is like the how like, and there's a lot of conversation around this, of course, but and I'm seeing this with my students, that they put their thing into AI and they're like, all right, I'm done. And it's like, no, you're just starting. And so, yeah, imagine that mentality, without new doctrine and protocols in a battlefield setting. And I think we can start to get a little bit worried.